In this video, I'm going to teach you how to take your very best photos in a place that we all have access to that I think a lot of photographers underrate, overlook, or underuse. Hey everybody, welcome back. My name's Nick. If you're new here, I'm a full-time traveler and street photographer living out of a suitcase going on a couple of years now. I make videos about photography, travel, and just kind of existing in the world as a creative person. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, feel free to hit the subscribe button and follow along. Almost all towns and cities have some kind of central gathering place, farmer's market, just historic building with shops and restaurants, something that draws the tourists in. Boston has Haymarket and Quincy Market. Montreal has the Bon Secours Market. New York has 100. Washington Square Park, Fifth Avenue, Union Square, Wall Street, Chinatown. There's the Ferry Building in San Francisco, the Santa Monica Pier, a Praça do Comércio in Lisbon. A lot of photographers consider these places to be too touristy, overdone, overrated, cliche. But over many years of street photography, I've learned how to use these locations to my advantage and how to get great photos out of them that are not cliche or touristy. And I'm going to show you how to do exactly that in this video. Now I'm gonna move fast. I'm gonna cover a lot of ground and a lot of photos here. So if I go over something too quickly, don't be afraid to pause the video and take a break. Now that I'm in Seattle for a couple of months, it's probably gonna come as no surprise whatsoever the location that I'm using as an example for this video. Pike Place Market is the perfect subject for this type of conversation. It's loud, it's chaotic, it's touristy as hell, and it's still one of my favorite places in the whole country to do street photography. I was just there this weekend, got some great light with the Fujifilm X-Pro 3, and managed to snag quite a few photos that I'm really happy with. So we have lots of examples to work with. Okay, first shot. So this is easy. This is a super easy warm-up shot to take. All you need is some kind of tourist attraction, some kind of view, and people who are looking at it. This is also a really good warm-up shot just because it's easy to get the shot without the subject knowing. It's also plausible that somebody would want to take a photo of, say, this Ferris wheel, and so people don't think much of it if they're in your photo. So all you need is a view, some subjects looking at it, and then just to play with the angles, get everything kind of composed where you want it, and you have foreground elements and the people there, and also some kind of focal point for the viewer. Now this next one is going to work a lot better if you have a zoom lens or a tighter prime on, but just focusing in on the shopkeeper, some specific action that a market worker or a food stall worker is doing. In this case, it's some folks at a flower stand putting, flowers into a bouquet, but you need to get in close, you need to get in tight, and focus on what their hands are doing, time it right, and if you're lucky, you'll come away with something where you're sort of representing the type of product that gets sold wherever it is that you're shooting as well. Pike Place has these huge flower markets, so I was really happy with this one. Okay, now we're getting into where you might have to change a camera setting or two. Slow shutter speed stuff really helps simplify a crowded location, especially if you can find a cool frame or something that you want to highlight. A lot of the time a shot like this might be kind of cool. You have these two poles on the side sort of framing the inside of the market, but if everybody's just sort of frozen using a higher shutter speed, it can get really chaotic and clustered quickly. But here what I did was I used a slow shutter speed to get that motion blur. It takes the focus off of all the crowd of people walking in and out of the frame and more just on the frame itself. Just set your shutter speed low, set your camera to burst, and just kind of take a few and see what you get and adjust as needed. Okay, next example. I think we forget sometimes to capture what's actually being sold. In this case, at Pike Place, it's all about the flowers and the fish, so you'll see a lot of that in these photos, but every single location has its own sort of fare that it's known for, so focus in on that. In this case, I wanted to kind of take a humorous look at this massive fish just laying on ice with its eyes bulging, and I also used the fish as a foreground element to kind of have some people in the background, just to give you context, right? You're not just looking at a fish, but now you can tell you're at a market. It also works really well in a series of photos to kind of add some context to the larger scenes that you end up shooting. And speaking of those wider shots, the larger scenes that kind of give you a more establishing shot look at the market, if you feel comfortable and you don't mind getting a few weird looks, again, street photography in my book is just 90% being comfortable with looking like an idiot in public. Lift the camera way up above your head and shoot down with a wide lens at all the people kind of spilling out in front of you, and it creates this runway effect where you have this kind of vanishing point in the distance and all of these people, so you can show how packed it is. This works so great in so many locations, and it's such an easy shot. Now, this next one is really simple. It's a good tip for beginners, but framing. A lot of these places, whether it's a market or some kind of building, are gonna have doorways or tents that you can kind of use to frame subjects. So here I found a quieter corridor in the Pike Place Market and just waited for an isolated subject to walk through it. Street photography 101, but just a reminder that those places also exist in busy touristy areas. And a lot of the time you'll find something cool like this neon sign. And if someone's visited the Pike Place Market before, they'll know this sign. It's right next to the main sort of central area of the market, but also a little break from the crowds. It's nice to get away from that for a second and kind of get some more isolated subjects. Okay, next up, backlighting. If you're in an indoor environment, chances are it has windows to the outside. Better yet, if you can find people sitting around those windows, eating, hanging out, interacting. Backlit shots are maybe I'll go out on a limb and say my favorite type of shots to take, whether a subject's backlit by the sun, you're shooting into the light source, it's a window kind of like this, but backlighting is the ultimate street photography hack. It's one of my favorite things to shoot, especially if you can highlight a subject doing something interesting backlit. It can make for really incredible, super easy to shoot compositions. Okay, the next one, spraying, praying, shooting from the hip. This is more of a camera movement technique or recommendation rather than like a compositional tip. But sometimes you'll see people doing something like, I don't know, eating ice cream in a really cool patch of light. If you shoot from a lower angle, kind of pointing up at them, you get this really cool perspective that a lot of people aren't gonna get, because nobody in their right mind would, crouch down below this couple and like look up at them while they're eating ice cream. So yeah, one of the easiest things you can do, actually, just move the camera around, shoot higher, shoot lower, use the Dutch angle, tilt the camera to create sort of crooked, angular compositions, but just show people things that they might see every day in a different perspective, in a different light than they're used to seeing them. Okay, so next up, this one is more about leaving the location that you might have started in than anything, but if you take a step back, literally leave the touristy location and go find a vantage point to shoot the whole entire thing from, a lot of the time that can work really, really well, especially if there's some kind of landmark like a tower or Ferris wheel or something like that. Just getting a unique perspective on the place. Don't forget to shoot the whole picture as well. Again, in sequencing, it works really well as an establishing shot to kind of complement your tighter compositions that take place within the location itself. Okay, another compositional tip. If you have some kind of large landmark, get up close to it to kind of dominate the scene. Especially if you're, again, not afraid of putting yourself out there, sitting on the ground, shooting up like I did in these photos. Really love these Ferris wheel shots because, again, it's something iconic about the Seattle Pike Place area, but I'm not just taking the same cliche smartphone tourist photo. They're probably not sitting on the ground shooting up with a 24mm lens, right? So I love these kind of shots. I've done this at the Golden Gate Bridge. I've done this in New York. Works awesome every time. Something that's one of my go-tos, especially to warm up. Okay, so markets can be really, really crowded, right? One of the things that you can do to reduce the crowding and make them feel emptier and make your subjects feel more isolated is to use lighting to your advantage. Now, if it's a great cloudy day, you're out of luck for this particular tip. But if you're patient enough to wait until sunset, one of my absolute favorite things to do, you'll see it across all of my work, across every place I've been, is shooting directly into the sun. This is something that arguably breaks a couple of photography rules, and if you have a lens that's not well equipped for handling flare and ghosting and sun stars, you are potentially in for a lot of post-production adjustments. But for me, I'm not at all against imperfections or flares or sun stars or things like that in my photos. I love them. I think it gives a ton of character, and also it makes the scene feel like it has more depth. Those blown out highlights and dark shadows can do wonders to hide people and to simplify a scene and just to make it look more three-dimensional, give it more additional depth. something I can't recommend enough. Experiment with it. If you're afraid to shoot into the sun and get ghosting and sun flares and all this, don't be. One of my favorite things to do. So that's gonna just about do it. I'm gonna roll through a couple of extra photos here at the end. I hope that in this video I've given you some ideas, I've given you a starting point for maybe how to approach some scenes differently than you have in the past. If you have a tip of your own, don't hesitate to leave me a comment down below. I love learning things from other photographers, so if I missed anything in this video, please let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe for the algorithm. Help me reach more people with more videos like this and spend more time creating things for the internet. Thanks again, and I will see you all very soon in the next one.